back at it today. No addition to our regular episodes, but I do have a bonus episode update that I'm going to jump into today. And so pretty much we're going to talk about the family that we talked about 2 weeks ago. Gonna run with this family for a little bit, going to kind of take you through the parent consult, the parent training process that I kind of utilize with parents in general. It just so happens that I have this platform now, and we're working kind of live with the strategies and implementations and interventions that I've been talking about with you guys for the past 6 or 7 weeks now. And so just gonna give you guys a quick update on that family. Well, I don't know how quick it'll be, but you guys will rock with me for, I think I'm averaging like 20-minute episodes. And so we'll see. Like I said, I always want to get you guys out sooner than later. So let's jump into it really quick. So I know I talked to you guys 2 weeks about this family. And so let me try and pull out some of the specifics here. Is middle-aged child. Behavior was escape avoidance and attention seeking. He purposely knew what he was doing to get parents' attention in a negative manner. So 2 weeks ago, like I said, we spent 4 hours working through maybe 3 or 4 household chores. I was talking to mom and dad with the instructions that they were given. We were working with follow through. We were working through extinction procedures. We were working through different consequence strategies to put that negative behavior on extinction, to ignore that behavior, not the child. And so I told you guys 2 weeks ago, it took about 4 hours, maybe 3 hours to complete 3 tasks that the kid does on a regular basis, but due to the negative attention-seeking behaviors, it took longer than it should have. So we went through that. I titled it A Mother's Tears. So go check it out if you haven't already. But that's when I talked to the family, and they broke down on just, the sense of normalcy, the sense of routine that they have had, where the child dictates the family dynamics, where they wake up, they could be happy and ready to go, but then as soon as the child engages in a specific behavior, their energy drops, or the family dynamic is changed to something more negative because of the way the child is acting in that manner. And so, as I told you guys 2 weeks ago, I told the family, like, hey, we have to switch that power dynamic. We have to take the power back in this relationship, in this family, right? You guys have to switch how you guys have been doing things for the past 8 years and pivot as a family, because we don't want his behaviors to dictate our lifestyles, especially because the child knows exactly what he's doing, and he's doing it for a purpose. Right? And the purpose is to draw you guys in. The purpose is to not listen to you guys. The purpose is to gain your attention in a negative manner. And so we went through the big a little extinction burst that 2 weeks ago, where he was breaking the chair in his room. He was throwing his sheets all over the floor. He was yelling and cursing at mom, as I mentioned. He was banging on the walls, knocked the picture frame off the wall. And that was one of the big triggers for the family, was property destruction. They didn't want to fix the holes in the walls. They didn't want him to knock off the picture frames. They didn't want him to do this and do that. And so when those moments happened, I was talking them through it as it happened. I said, hey, we're just going to chill. We're going to relax. I know you guys don't want that, but at this moment, we're changing. We have to pivot, and we're going to, usually he knows that's how to get you guys' reaction. So we're not going to respond right now, just because we're changing and we're putting it on extinction. We're doing something that we've never done before to him. And so he's going to respond in a manner that is different than we've seen before. And so now, to go on from these past 2 weeks, I talked to parents a week after I first visited them, and they said, hey, he was banging on his turtles, the turtle box or whatever the turtle was living in, the little glass thing where the turtles live. I can't even think of it right now. But he was banging on that and not wanting to clean it. And so the parents simply removed it from the room. And so they removed it and put it downstairs. They said, hey, if you're not going to take care of this animal, if you're not going to take care of this turtle that you wanted, if you're banging on the glass, then hey, we're just going to remove it. So going into their last week or last Saturday, the turtle the turtle, the turtle's habitat was removed. It was downstairs. The chair that he had broke was removed from his room. There were some other objects or items that the parent removed because simply the child wasn't acting in an appropriate manner to utilize those things. And so mom told me as I walked in, she was like, hey, if he's not using it correctly, then we're just going to take it. You know, if he's going to endanger himself, or he's going to, you know, put the animal in danger, which the turtle was, then we're going to remove it. And I told her, hey, that's a natural consequence, right? Because when we're older, when we have pets, if we neglect our pets, then, you know, the pet services, I can't remember their name right now, are going to come check on the welfare of the pet and take the pet as needed. And so, like I said, it's bigger than just removing the turtle's habitat from the child's room to downstairs, because if we think big picture, if we think in adulthood, if we mistreat, if we don't feed, if we neglect the animals, then, you know, the services are going to come and take those animals as well too. So it's a direct correlation with that. And once again, we'll go back to the conversation we had last week. So she told me she removed the turtle's habitat. And then she told me one morning, hey, Mike, you know, I'm shaking right now. I'm crying because my son just punched me in the mouth. He slapped me and then he punched me. And so that was the tip of the iceberg. And so I'm talking to her on the phone. I'm saying, hey, okay, I understand what happened. Talk me through it. What happened? What were your antecedents? So the antecedents were simply a demand placed. So she placed a demand. The kiddo did not want to follow through. And so mom and dad just followed through with that situation. Whatever that demand was, whatever that instruction was, the parents were meaning what they said, and they didn't allow access to any reinforcement or any other items until the child completed what they wanted to do. And so I don't know if mom was maybe talking to him at the moment or what she was doing, but she got hit in the mouth and slapped. And so she said she responded like, she said, okay. She walked away and went to her husband. And so, of course, talking to her husband about the issue, of course, he's was angered by it. He was kind of enraged by it because that was the tip of the iceberg, right? And so this was the biggest extinction burst that they have went through as a family. They've never had any physical aggression to that degree happen before, but because they've been putting their kids' negative behavior on extinction for that week, right? So that week we're taking back our life, right? We're taking back the 8 years that we didn't have the knowledge to utilize. Now we have the knowledge, so this week we're utilizing it. And so the kiddo is acting in a way now like, okay, how can I up the ante? Right? Parents aren't doing what they used to do. Parents aren't doing this, parents aren't doing that. So how can I really get on my parents' nerves? How can I really push their buttons to get what I want? And so that's what led to that punch in the face and that slap. And so parents had never dealt with that before. And so they didn't act out in the moment. They reset. They talked to each other, remember their strategies. They hit me up and I talked them through it. I said, okay, how did you or your husband respond in that situation? And they said, we kept doing what we needed to do. And right before we left the house, we talked to him and said, hey, that's not an appropriate behavior. I don't want that to happen again. And if that does happen again, then we're going to have to, remove items or whatever the consequence that they wanted to provide as a family. And so there was no big acknowledgement of that behavior in the moment. Because if they would have done that, then the kiddo knows, okay, cool, that's my trigger. That's the next button I have to push because all this other stuff that I've been doing for a week is not working. So this is the new level that I have to reach to break my parents, to know what their breaking point is, because what I've been doing for the week hasn't been working. I've been throwing tantrums, I've been throwing fits, I've been doing this, I've been doing that. Nothing's been working. So let me try this next behavior. And so now that the kiddo knows that behavior isn't effective and that the parents just verbally redirected him later on in the morning, he's able to, the parents were able to, like I said, reset and take themselves out of the situation of an immediate response, which is what the negative attention seeking brings, right? And so by removing themselves, talking to him at the later moment provided, a sense of, okay, this behavior didn't work. And so it's trial and error. And it's not only trial and error with the kiddo, but it's trial and error with the parents as well too. And so they handled that situation well. And that's what I told mom talking with her. I said, I know it's new. This has never happened before. It hit this degree, but you guys handled that situation as well. I know we want to focus on the negative of him actually punching you and striking you and slapping you, but we have to zoom out, and that's what I'm here for. And we have to think of how will my reaction or how will this situation affect the future? Because like I said, if we would have responded in an immediate fashion, immediate, you don't do that, why are you hitting me, this, and this, I'm taking this, you're not, and then he knows, okay, that's it, I got my parents, so that's all I need to do next time. And so I told the parents, as bad as that situation was, as a child putting their hands on their parents, let's zoom out, let's see how we can resolve the situation in the future, and let's keep going. And so we kept going, and there was no other altercations the rest of the week. And then I arrived on Saturday, the most recent Saturday, last Saturday. And so I walk in, and we expect things to go perfect, right? We expect, the magic wand to work and everything to go great. But like I said, and then parents text you on like a Wednesday morning at like 6 a.m. and they're like, hey, a breakdown, something's going on, I need your help. And then you're like, all right, we fixed that, or we moved on. And then, Saturday morning, you think, okay, cool. Sometimes your mindset is, all right, cool. Perfect day. Let's get going. Let's do what we have to do. And so I walk in, and the kid is naked. So he's upstairs, once again, avoiding the chores and the tasks that the parents have outlined for him for that day. And he's just yelling and screaming and naked. And so a breakdown of that situation when I walk in is pretty much staff was there. So staff told me he needed to change out from his pajamas, which he was in earlier, to put on clothes for the day. Simple instruction. The kid has no gross motor deficits. He knows how to put on a shirt. He knows how to put on his underwear. He knows how to put on his shorts, all independently. He's done it before, and that was the only demand placed at that moment. And so I'm like, okay, cool. So I see it, I hear it. I see parents moving around, doing their thing. And I noticed the pivot, right? So I noticed 2 weeks ago, parents were talking to the child. They're saying, hey, you're not supposed to be doing that. Hey, why don't you just do this? Hey, try that again. Nope, let me help you. Let me do. And that day, parents were doing what they had to do. Dad was going back and forth from his room, checking in on the son, making sure if he was dressed or not. Nope, you're not dressed. Okay, cool. I'm going to finish making the bed, I think what he was doing. Mom was downstairs with the other sibling, getting ready to start her day, changing her clothes, getting ready to go to the grocery store, making sure, the younger sibling was fine, doing his thing. And they're just moving. They're moving about while the kiddo's upstairs naked, looking for that negative attention, right? And so by putting that behavior on extinction, he knows that he's not going to get the response from the parents that he usually got. So what's his next option? So he has two options, right? So it's either it'll get worse, or I do what they're asking me to do because I'm not getting access to the reinforcement that I want. And so I'm seeing this, and I'm looking around, and I go up there, and he's in his room, and I'm right at the stairs, so he can't see me. And so I'm just hearing to see what the parents are doing. I'm in the mix, just peering in there, making sure, if he's getting dressed or doing what, he needs to do at the moment. And it took maybe, I would say 15 minutes until I got there. And I don't know if based upon the reactivity of me showing up, it helped him get dressed faster. But as soon as I got there, 15 minutes after, he started getting dressed. And I don't know if he saw me or heard me and was like, all right, Mr. Mike is here, but he got dressed. And so that was task one. So then the cool thing, and I want to highlight this for you guys, is usually the parents have, 3 or 4 tasks that they want him to complete on Saturday mornings. Mom and dad had to switch because dad had to get in the shower. And so mom had to switch roles. And the great thing, and what I highlighted with parents, is during that switch, they discussed expectations at the moment. And I love this, and I love seeing it in person. So dad started the initial instruction of get dressed. Mom was doing her thing, downstairs, upstairs, laundry, getting dressed, getting ready for the day. Dad said, hey, I need to hop in the shower. If you're going to leave to the grocery store, let's switch. So when they switched, beautifully. Mom and dad were like, okay, dad said he just has to get dressed and then he's going to have to do this and then we're going to give him his reinforcement. Mom was like, okay, so he has to get dressed first. So she was just pretty much stating back what dad had just said, just to make sure they were on one accord. And so they swapped positions. Dad went to start taking his shower. Mom took control of where dad was. She still put the behavior on extinction, ignoring the behavior, not the child. The child knew that switch happened. And so he said, Mom, come here, come help me. Mom goes in, she checks it out. Hey, you're still not dressed? Okay, let me know when you're dressed and then I can help you. Same thing happened, right? And so, like I said, 5 or 10 minutes into that switch, the kiddo finished getting dressed. And so mom started with the second instruction. Okay, cool, you have to brush your teeth and you have to fix your bed and then you can get your video. He loves this YouTube video that he wants to watch. And so mom was like, okay, cool. First you do this and then you do this, right? Using that pre-mac principle that I talked about maybe week 3 or week 4. So as she put that into play, she's still doing her thing, and I'm loving it. She's not coddling. She's not over prompting. She's not prompting at all. Because why? Because she knows the child can do these things. There's no need for me to be in there or help you put your pants on when you know how to do it. So let me with that time that I've used for these 8 years to help you with that, let me go do what I need to do. Let me put some makeup on for the day. Let me put my good shoes on. Let me get dressed. We have people coming over later, so let me do what I need to do to prep myself for the day. You are not going to determine how my day goes based upon your behavior. Is basically what mom was saying, right? And what we've been talking about for the past, 2 or 3 weeks. And so mom's doing it. She's working through it. She's doing what she has to do, getting dressed, putting makeup on, getting ready for the day, checking on the younger kid. I'm up and down on the steps, just hearing and seeing what's going on. The kiddo goes, okay, I'm done with my bed. And mom comes in, she checks, hey, you still need to do that corner. And he goes, mom, this is so stupid. You're not even helping me. And she says, okay, well, once you take off the pillowcases, like I've asked, and like I've seen you done 1,000 times before, then I'll come in and help you. Walks right back out. And so my heart is just pounding. I'm glowing. It's like seeing your kids, hit their first home run and round the bases, right? So parents are engaged 100%. They pivoted. And so that whole behavior, that whole 3 or 4 tasks, we'll fast forward. We ended up doing it in maybe, I would say, 45 minutes. Right, so we saw a 3-hour episode 2 weeks ago, and now we see a 45-minute episode that Saturday. And so that's a win, right? It's a decrease in duration of negative behavior. So that's a win. And we take our wins, how we can get them. And that's for me to zoom out and say, okay, remember it took 3 hours. You guys were up and down. You guys were sweating. You guys wanted to intervene. You guys wanted to do what you've been doing for 8 years. But now look at it. Let's zoom out. It's 45 minutes where it was, 3 hours 2 weeks ago. And so you guys are doing what you're supposed to be doing. And then I asked mom a question. I was like, why do you think the duration decreased? And mom was like, I don't know. It's just, and I said, why? It's because you guys have been consistent. You guys have been following through. So that Monday through Friday, when I'm not there or staff's not there, you guys have been holding on to every single word that we talked about 2 weeks ago, and you guys have been implementing it. You guys have been doing your job. You guys have been doing the hard stuff. You guys have been putting in the work every single day. And so it decreased because of what you and your husband have been doing. And I want to give you guys credit right now. And I thank you because what we had in that moment we shared for those 4 hours, you guys took it to heart. Amidst the tears, amidst the anger, amidst the frustration, you guys took it to heart and you made that change. And now you're going to see the positive effects of it. Yeah, we had a hiccup, a week and a half ago where he hit you in the lip, but that's the top tier. And then he tried it again that Saturday and he got naked. And right, that's another tier. Right, and so those are the extinction bursts that we're seeing. And we're going to reach that mountaintop and it might get worse. We never know. He might break a window. He might, I don't know, put a hole in the tire. We don't know what he will do, but we know as long as you guys keep using and are consistent with the interventions that we discussed, you guys are going to succeed. And so that's what I told parents about. I highlighted their communication, right? I'm swapping, hey, let's do this while I do this. Okay, cool, seamless. It worked out amazingly. And so they did what they were supposed to do, and they've been doing for the past 2 weeks. And so I walked in as like a breath of fresh air amidst the chaos, right? You have this sense of peace, this sense of normalcy that the parents have never had because of what we talked about 2 weeks ago, and them willing and trying to implement it. And I told them, and as I've told you guys on this multiple times, is that I don't expect them to be perfect, but I do expect them to be consistent. And consistency pays off. And consistency paid off this time with a decrease in negative behavior over 50%, 75% reduction. Right? I'm not great with math, so I kind of just threw those numbers out, but I know it's more than 50%. And so with that reduction, I talked to parents and we worked through it. And so that was the first thing that I wanted to highlight. What I noticed Saturday with those parents is their consistency and their willingness to try what we talked about, right? And that's the whole thing. That's why I'm here, and that's what I do. Why I do what I do, because the parents that want it, you can tell that they want it. You can tell that they're going to fight for it. They're going to do what they have to do in the moment, because I see the big picture. I don't want to be prisoner to my child's behavior. And then the last thing I want to leave you guys with today is I came away with two mantras that were beautiful from the dad. As I was leaving, mom had already left to the grocery store, and dad said, amidst the frustration and the kind of day-to-day and the rough days, since we talked, I've developed two mantras that I've been living with and that I've been repeating to myself during these negative times. And the first mantra was, you don't have the permission to disrupt me. And I paused. I was like, holy shit, let me write this down. Literally took my phone, put it in my notes. I said, hold that thought. Let me write that down, because how powerful is that? Right? The dad is taking his life back. The family is taking their life back because they know that the child has been purposely disrupting the order of the family, disrupting their peace, disrupting the presence of the household or how it should be. And the dad now, since our talk 2 weeks ago, says, hey, no, I'm taking back my life. I'm taking back my energy. I'm taking back my peace. You don't have the permission to disrupt me. And hearing that from a parent, I go, you got it. You're like, aha, right? Ta-da! The light bulb went on, the cameras flashed, the red carpet rolled out. Like, this is what I do. This is why I do what I do, because of those moments. And so with that mantra, like I said, the dad holds on to that. That's what personally works for him. And then his second mantra is, what are you choosing at the moment, right? And that goes both ways. What is my child choosing to do? How should I respond? And what am I choosing, and how am I choosing to respond, right? And so by using that, okay, you're not disrupting my peace, but if you are disrupting my peace, how can I respond to it? Or what am I choosing, or what are you choosing to do in that moment? And by taking that 1 or 2 seconds to question it, to realize how my consequence can impact future behavior, that takes a second then to be reactionary. Because we're so quick to be like, hey, no, don't do that. Hey, stop. You're not supposed to do that. Well, yeah, he knows he's not supposed to do that. That's why he's doing it, because he wants your attention. So let me take a step back. Let me breathe. Let me say, okay, why are you choosing to do that? And why are you, I think I just said that. Why are you choosing to do that? And so with that simple recollection or step back, you're able to once again zoom out. And look outside of yourself to be like, okay, why do I respond how I need to? How should I respond in this moment? And what are the future implications of me responding with, option A, option B, or option C? So with those two mantras, it was music to my ears. It was, man, I loved it. I couldn't stop soon enough and pull out my phone to write those down, because that's the first time I've heard a parent kind of come with self coping skills, right? Or a mantra to reset themselves in the moment because of the volatility that it used to be, earlier on in these past 8 years. And then the next one was mom, before she left, a mother's tears, right? So she almost broke down again, but she says, thank you for this sense of normalcy. She said, I thought previously, that was my normal life. That's all I knew. All I knew was helping and being over dependent and coddling and doing these things for my child, which he knows how to do. Thank you for this peace. Thank you for giving me the strength to not only empower myself, but do what I needed to do. Let me put makeup on today. The simple things, right? Let me get dressed. I have people coming over. Let me make sure the house looks good. Let me go to the grocery store and get food for later off in the evening, rather than sweating up and down, going back and forth with my son who knows what he's doing. And so by hearing that and seeing not only her face light up through the tears she stopped herself, but it's that sense of gratitude and the sense of being thankful of going through what she went through, right? If they would have if they would have gave into behavior after he punched them in the mouth right before school and slapped them, then we never would have got to this point that we're at Saturday. And like I said, that's life, right? So when we get hit with these trials and tribulations, we can't just stop and go back to zero. Like, we already made it this far. Why are we gonna stop and go back? Let's just keep going. We're already halfway up the mountain. Let's keep going up that mountain. We're 3/4 of the way there. We're 1/4 of the way there, right? Like, there's no sense in going backwards if we've gotten to this point. Because once we reach that mountain peak, once we get to that top, then that's when success happens, right? That's when we see the progress. That's when we see that all the things that we put in play 2 weeks ago, for instance, for this example of what we started, I don't know when that behavior is going to fall off. I don't know how long the extinction burst is going to happen for, but I do know that when it does, we're going to see a steep decline in that behavior. We're going to see more functional communication. We're going to see more replacement behaviors being used instead of those negative behaviors. So imagine if the parents would have quit, 3 days into it. It would have been a cycle, right? It's going to go up and down, but now we're going up. Okay, a little hiccup. Okay, cool. We're still going up, right? And we're still going to go up. Yeah, a little hiccup, nakedness. Okay, we're going to go up, right? And we're still going to follow through what we talked about 2 weeks ago. And so that is the update that I have for you guys today. It wasn't going to be, that 2 weeks ago I said it, and then next week everything is great. Everything is perfect, it went so well. That 4-hour conversation and went down to a 4-hour, non-compliance went down to 0, right? It doesn't happen like that. And that's ABA, and like I said, that's life. And so we use ABA as a life hack to work through those situations. So of course, I'm going to expect next Saturday for it to decrease under 45 minutes, but it also could spike back up to 2 hours. We don't know. But I've given the parents the tools to utilize in those situations, right? We're always going to hope for the best and expect greatness, as I've mentioned a couple times before. But it doesn't always happen like that. And we have to reset. We have to change or alter what previously worked and try something else, right? And so we're going to figure it out day by day, trial and error, as I always say, and we're going to make it work as best for the family. But that was the update that I had for you guys today. I didn't want to drag you too long with this update, but just seeing the progress, letting you know that it's not linear. It's not a straight line from A to B. It's a roller coaster. It's a journey. I told parents, hey, we're going through the mud right now, and it could get worse. It could get sloppier. We could slip and slide. We could even fall. But let's pick each other back up. I'm in here with you, right? I'm in this with you guys. So, hey, let's pick you guys up. You guys have my number. Call me whenever you need me. Text me whenever you need me, and I'm here for you guys. Because we're through the mud. We're in the trenches. And we can't go back now, right? I think there's the famous quote or famous story. I think Julius Caesar, once he and his soldiers got off, he burned the ships. So if you burn the ships, you can't go back to the ships because it's burned, right? So now we're going to focus directly on what's ahead of us. Ain't no plan B. We can't go back now. The ships are burned. We already we're in the dogfight. We're in the mud, right? So let's clip up. Let's give some ammunition and let's use it in the appropriate manner. And the ammunition is the strategies. The ammunition is ABA. I'm using ABA principles to equip the parents to be ready for what the child might throw next, what the child might do next, the levels he's willing to reach to get the parents to behave in a certain manner. And so that's the bonus episode for you guys today. I'll come back with some more knowledge next week. Once again, I appreciate you guys every week, every Wednesday tuning in. Like, comment, share, tell a family, tell a friend to tell a friend. The Parent Trap LLC, back like we never left, back for the first time. Hope you guys have a great week. My hair stayed in place, it looks like. I appreciate you guys rocking with me. I know last week was awkward and it was weird, but thank you guys. See you next week.